golden year 2010.
I'm Jake.
I'm Tom.
And we are VIMTV, Velocities in Music. The red wall behind us is gone. That is because, for those of you who follow VIMTV on our channel on YouTube, we posted a video a few days ago about how we're moving. And Tom and I are both in the process of relocating right now. That means we're changing studios. And thus, we're just kind of grabbing whatever walls we possibly can. And so we apologize for the week of no videos. We're still pretty much on a pace to hit 250 videos in 2011, which is just insane. Think about that. That's 5 a week with 2 weeks off. We're still on a pace to do that. We're going to try to do our best to do whatever we can to meet that pace, because we feel like that's a good pace for us, keeps us steady, gets you guys a ton of album reviews, probably more than what you can intake on a week, which is good, because then you can come back and watch 3 or 4 at a time, which is what we've designed the site to do. Now, one question I have for you before we dive into today's album review is, what do you guys think about this background? You like the change? I mean, are you thinking, we've had the red for like 200 episodes now, and I was wondering, and I'm really interested to see if you guys would prefer another color or another background, or how all that works, because this is the time for change right now as we're getting ready to set up a new studio here in the next year or so that we'd be using. So if you guys have input and want to tell us, we'd love to hear your feedback on that. Today's album review is Eleanor Friedberger's Last Summer. Tom, she's from the Fiery Furnaces, right?
Yes.
That's a band you're familiar with?
She's half of the Fiery Furnaces, which is a brother-sister duo. And really, I mean, this sound is pretty different.
Right.
You can definitely tell the similar elements in the songwriting, kind of her vocal performance and whatnot. But, it definitely brings a different element. But at the same time, I mean, the first thing to me, if you've ever listened to Fiery Furnaces' album, Blueberry Boat, I mean, huge long album, starts out with like a 10-minute long track, lots of other long tracks in there. You're not going to get that here. Right. It's a lot more stripped down. The songs are a little more concise. I mean, they're not like 2.5-minute pop medleys or something.
And it's also not super formulaic.
Yeah.
There is a solid structure to it.
Yes.
But what I like best about it is the variety of instruments used.
Yeah.
And also, I just find that it almost adds this alluring quality when you have all these different instruments coming in, with the main foundation of guitars and piano and drums. That's kind of my favorite thing. Now, Tom and I kind of have spoken to each other about Eleanor Friedberger's vocals and how she presents them on the album. And I think that there's different ways that you can take the vocals, and I think it's very important to highlight kind of our opinions on that.
Because we're kind of the opposites on this. Well, we both like this album. Actually, we give it similar scores, but we're kind of opposites on her vocals. Right.
So where I sit is that I feel like Eleanor Friedberger's vocals here kind of, she's just kind of on top of it. It's just kind of this... it's kind of this dribble that just comes out on top of the instrumentals, and I don't feel like it really meshes that well with what's going on.
It's almost freeform to a point.
It is.
Rhythmically, she kind of staggers and stumbles over lines, and you can tell that it's very deliberate.
Right.
I mean, she's creating this kind of strangely endearing but awkward persona throughout the whole thing.
Right, and the problem that I really have of it is I think that there's an effect that I feel like she uses that a lot on multiple tracks, so it makes the tracks sound kind of similar. But I fell in love with this album, the instrumental composition, so to me that kind of distracts me from all the cool stuff that's going on instrumentally that I want to hear more of. And I also think that it maybe prevents the album from establishing a full mood. I always feel like that awkward phase is in there, and I just never can get over that. And that's something that really isn't a huge deal, but I would have liked to have seen that worked out a little bit more, things to feel a little bit more natural. That awkward phase kind of makes me a little reserved on this one.
And that really makes sense, and that's actually where my frustrations with the vocals come in, is just that I think they take the limelight a little too much.
Right. And the production.
Yeah, exactly. If they were even mixed down a little bit, or even just not there all the time. I mean, there are a few exceptions. I believe on Roosevelt Island, you have this kind of cool funk breakdown. And the few moments like that on this album are actually what made me think of it, because I thought, that's cool. Why aren't there more moments like that, where the instrumentals can capture the mood and work a little harder so that when the vocals come in, they have more of an effect from that contrast?
Right. Because
they're just kind of always there, or almost always there, like 95% of the time, and they're very much front and center, right on top of everything. it becomes a little taxing, and I find myself wishing that the instrumentals played a more prominent role on this record.
So really what we're saying is that the instrumentals in the songwriting on this album are just so darn good that it's almost like you just want more of it. And as a listener, and as the person creating the music versus the listener, the person creating the music needs to think about that as they're creating the music. If the best, you got to highlight your strengths. So the strength of this album is the instrumental songwriting. I mean, I would want to hear more of that. Now, to Eleanor Friedberger's defense, this is indie pop songwriting. This is that is the point. So it's kind of part and parcel for that style.
And also the strange delivery kind of works with the lyrics.
It does.
The lyrics are very quirky, very oddgy. She like tells all these ridiculous stories that are really when you really think about them, they're just kind of nonsensical, but somehow she makes you care about them.
Yeah, and that's what gives this an alluring charm to it.
Exactly.
So a lot of good things to say about this, but in the end of the day, even though this is original, well-written sound with great instrumental variety, we've touched on some things with the vocals, but overall, I mean, one thing that you just have to say about this thing is it's just 10 tracks that are just these nice indie pop tracks. It's nothing more than that. It's nothing really deep or something to really just nerd out about. Really, it's just a solid release.
It's very fun and enjoyable to listen to.
And overall, that puts me right at the 78 mark.
I'm going 80.
Yeah. What'd you guys think? Did you, if you've checked this out, is this something that you would give a higher score than just good, solid, right in that range where VIMTV's sitting right now, 79 overall from us? Let us know at www.velocitiesandmusic.com or youtube.com/velocitiesandmusic, which is probably where most of you are now. Remember to leave us a comment on the wall, what you want to see, because you guys have a big role in what VIMTV does, so we're interested to hear your comments. Facebook, Twitter, do it. I'm Jake.
I'm Tom.
And we are VIMTV, moving music critique forward.
Did you ever find a place to be? Did you